to welcome you to this afternoon sitting. And I don't know where I was actually going to suspend the house because of you. Yes. Honorable members, I want to welcome you to this afternoon sitting. We are cognizant of the flight and the fate that Dr. Besigye Kiiza, who remains in a pre-trial detention in Luzera prisons, despite the Supreme ruling which took place on 31st January 2025. The Supreme Court directed the executive to take immediate action, including amendment of the UPDF Act and the transfer of the civilian courts of all active cases involving civilians and the military court. However, to date, uncertainty prevails on the status of implementation of the directive of the Supreme Court. For the sake of clarity, I want to pose the following questions to the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, to the Attorney General, and the Minister of Internal Affairs. 1. Have the legal advisors to government rendered appropriate advice on the continued pre-trial detention of an ailing Dr. Besigye? 2. What is the legal basis for the continued detention of Dr. Besigye in Luzera? 3. Under what instrument does Uganda Prison Service continue to hold Dr. Besigye? 4. What steps have you taken to comply with the Supreme Court directive? 5. How long will we take to conclude the transfer of all active cases involving civilians from the General Court Martial to the civilian courts? 6. What sustainable action have been taken to address the concerns surrounding the health of Dr. Besigye? As a House of Representatives, we are a voice of the voiceless. We are elected to speak for those people out there who cannot be in this house. So if we cannot do that, then we are not representing our people. The continued detention of unwell suspected sets a dangerous precedence that may be applied to any one of us. Injustice to anyone is injustice to everybody. Today it is happening to Dr. Besigye, tomorrow it will happen to any of us. There is need to explore other appropriate modalities of confinement, if necessary, than keeping the ailing suspect in unfavorable conditions that may potentially be fatal. I am aware there are legal regimes that govern the pre-trial detention on treatment of suspects with peculiar circumstances, notably the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, 1995, and the trial on the Trial on Indictment Act 1971. Honourable members, I'm aware that the presiding officer previously addressed some aspects of this matter on 28th January 2025, on 4th February, and I will not revise his guidance on that. I will therefore invoke Rule 25(1), Rules of Procedure, and vary the order paper to accommodate to receive an update from the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, from the Minister of Internal Affairs, from the Attorney General on the questions I have asked. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, this morning I had a conversation with the Commissioner General of the Uganda Prison Service to find out the current situation of Colonel Kiiza Besigye. He told me the following. As of today, Colonel Kiiza Besigye has been on hunger strike for 6 days. This is his 7th day. He is only taking water. He's not eating any food. The Commissioner General informed me that because of the hunger strike, his health has deteriorated, and therefore he had to be evacuated to a hospital. His personal doctor took charge of the evacuation in the presence of Kiiza Besigye'S sister, Dr. Olive Kobusinje. It's not appropriate for me to report details of what was found. This is a part of the doctor-patient confidentiality. But the Commissioner General said definitely his health condition is alarming. Under all the laws of Uganda, any person, especially those who are having health issues, are entitled to treatment. And in this case, the prison authorities were able to take him to the hospital. Comprehensive tests were carried out, and the doctors are managing him. The Commissioner General also informed me that Colonel Kiiza Besigye has continued and continues with the hunger strike. And that means, of course, that any medical response will not have a major impact. He will not improve because of the hunger strike. Now, concerning your other question about the advice, the laws, what steps we have taken, how long it will take to transfer the files, I wish to report the following.
Honourable Minister, just on hunger strike. He's not on hunger strike because he loves to be on hunger strike. He's on hunger strike because he believes he's unfairly treated. He's on unfair trial.
Madam Speaker, hunger strike is a form of protest, and I accept what you have stated. He is protesting through hunger strike. All through history, prisoners who feel that they are being unjustly incarcerated have resorted to hunger strike. So, but it is not my purpose to go into detail why he's on hunger strike. I simply reported his condition, and we admit that it is alarming. Now, permit me, Madam Speaker, to respond to...
And as a legal advisor to government, after knowing that his condition, his situation is alarming, what advice have you given government to that effect?
Madam Speaker, that is what I'm coming to, because you gave me a set of questions, and I would like us to go through the chronology of what we have done. The judgment was delivered on 31st January, which was a Friday. Immediately on Monday, Madam Speaker, the Attorney General wrote to the Ministry of Defense and the DPP. That is the very next working day after the judgment. The Attorney General wrote, informing them that the cases should now be transferred. On the 3rd, the very same day, the Attorney General also wrote to the Chief Justice, asking the Chief Justice to appoint a judicial officer to be in charge of liaison concerning the transfer, who should liaise between all the actors. That is the first working day after the judgment. On the 4th of February, the Chief Justice wrote back appointing the principal judge as the liaison officer. That is the second working day after the judgment. On the 6th of February, the Attorney General's chambers forwarded the letter of the Chief Justice to the Ministry of Defense and Veterans Affairs and to the DPP. Around that time, Madam Speaker, we were here and I came to the floor and stated that it is the duty of Kiiza Besigye'S lawyers and the lawyers of all those who are in the court-martial to extract a decree that is part of their responsibility to their client. This decree only arrived on the 13th of February, almost 2 weeks after the judgment. That is when we received the draft decree. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, the draft decree had errors. Some of the errors were as obvious as wrong names, for instance. On the 14th of February, that is last Friday, the Attorney General's chambers corrected...
Do you have a copy of the decree which was extracted?
Madam Speaker, the errors were corrected and the corrected decree was sent to the lawyers of Kiiza Besigye. We have not yet received the corrected decree. If we have received it as of now, we corrected it from the Ministry of Justice. We are concerned by the slow pace of Kiiza Besigye'S lawyers. I have stated the chronology. You cannot take 2 weeks. If really you are concerned about the condition of your client, rather than the politics surrounding that, they should have acted as fast as Attorney General's chambers.
Honorable Norbert Mao, that's why I was asking you, do you have the wrong copy of the decree, so that we shall not take the blame to who? To the lawyers.
Madam Speaker, I have here on my phone, which I can forward, a letter dated February 14th sending back the corrected decree.
I
can forward it.
That was sending back. When did it come?
The decree came on the 13th. The very next day, it was sent back. That's how fast we are, Madam Speaker. We have done our job, but those who have chosen to politic rather than take responsibility for the fate of their client are now playing victim. That is unfair, Madam Speaker.
2 weeks down the road.
In addressing the directive of the Supreme Court, should not be a ground of delaying in dispensation of this for somebody to get justice. Okay, if they delayed it to bring that, have you brought the amendment that they told you to bring? Or is it we, the members of parliament, who have delayed? I continue holding the suspects outside the law just because of the bureaucracy, because they are not tried, they are on a pre-trial. They are not on a remand.
Madam Record, and on the day that the new law year was opened, I addressed the members of the judiciary and I appealed to them to prioritize matters of the liberty of citizens. I am as concerned about the liberty of citizens as any of us in this chamber. I am only reporting that a lawyer who has got a duty to a client would have acted very quickly instead of waiting almost 2 weeks before extracting the decree. It is the duty of a lawyer to extract a decree rather than spending time politicking.
Honorable Norbert Mao, we do not discuss about people who are not in the house. So what you have said about the lawyer, you should retract it. Because he's not in the house. I am the custodian of the law. Here, withdraw.
Madam Speaker, I respectfully withdraw. The copy of the decree is coming. I do not know whether I can now talk about my conversation with the chairman of the General Court Martial, the director of prosecution, or I shouldn't talk about
Just a minute, Chairman. Just a minute, Chairman. Chairman, you say the decree is coming? In how many minutes?
Madam Speaker, we are just across the road. We believe in less than 10 minutes it will be here.
Okay.
The Deputy Attorney General has already instructed our office to forward all the letters, all the correspondences I've referred to. And they include the 3rd February letter to Ministry of Defense and DPP, and a letter to the Chief Justice to appoint a liaison contact. Then the 6th February letter, which forwarded the CJ's letter to the Ministry of Defense and Veterans Affairs and the DPP. And the 14th February letter, which is also coming, but which I have a soft copy, where we corrected the decree and sent it back to the lawyers.
Now, you're answering my number 5 of my question. Number 1 was, how, as legal advisors of government, what appropriate advice have you given for the continued pre-trial on detention of an ailing, and here I'm saying ailing, Dr. Besigye?
Madam Speaker, in that situation, the suspect would be produced before the appropriate court, in this case the High Court, and granted bail.
Has the file been transferred from court martial to the civil court, to the civilian court?
Madam Speaker, I have spoken to the chairman of the General Court Martial, who instructed the director of prosecutions of the Court Martial, who I also spoke to, and all that they are waiting for their file is this decree, which now we have. But we deny any responsibility for the late extraction of the decree.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. In inter-party, government was represented in a court. Number two, we no longer, by the way, extract decrees. Chairman Mao, my colleague, we no longer extract decrees for purposes of execution. Court decisions by nature, especially at the level of Supreme Court, are self-executing. You don't need a decree to act. So if judgment was passed inter-party, what more are you getting from a decree? What exactly more are you looking for in a decree? So I really think that perhaps we could use other arguments, but late extraction of a decree, by the way, with or without a decree, that judgment is self-executing. You ought to have acted even without any hesitation. Unfortunately, because you see the danger with mentioning the decree, you have many other people who are affected by that decision of the Supreme Court who don't have lawyers. What happens to them? What happens to them? So I think, Madam Speaker, it is advisable that Chairman Mao and the executive, you use other reasons for delaying the release of Dr. Besigye other than a decree.
And as we talk late release or transfer to the civilian court, I asked you, under what legal regime, legal basis, are you using to keep him there? We are not saying that Dr. Besigye is clean. He could be having a case to answer. He could be having a case to answer. But he should be taken to the proper court for him to be able to answer. Under what legal regime?
Madam Speaker, I think it is obvious that when you have been remanded by a court, and the court martial is a court, it is only the boundaries of the court martial that have been delineated by the Supreme Court. The court martial has not been abolished. The court martial has not been abolished. The court martial is the one that remanded Colonel Kiiza Besigye. Now, the release of Colonel Kiiza Besigye will be ordered by the court, the appropriate court, when he is taken before that court.
Honorable Mao, when you look at article protection of personal liberty, no person shall be deprived of personal liberty except in any of the following cases: in execution of the sentence or order of the court. Now here, the court ordered that Dr. Besigye should be what? Released. Now you're depriving him his liberty.
I hope this Parliament is persuaded that we did our duty as the Ministry of Justice. We did our duty. We responded very quickly because these letters which we wrote were about the Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court did not order the release of anybody.
There is an order from Honorable.
Thank you, Madam. The custodian of the law of this country. We are here, instead of the Minister of Justice coming here to tell us the law is supposed to do this, and this is what we are doing,
is standing the other side to defend what is undefendable, Madam Speaker. We expect the Minister of Justice to behave what the Parliament expects him to behave, much as you are appointed by the President. But if you are also coming here to behave like the Chairman of the Court Martial, we are at pain. We are at pain, Honorable Minister. We are at pain. Madam Speaker, is it in order for the Minister, who is a Member of Parliament, to come here and instead of debating like a Minister, is debating like the Chairman of the Court Martial? Is it in order, Madam Speaker?
Problem. And the problem we need to solve is about an alien person. And secondly, using a law which is not there to keep somebody in detention. When somebody is on pre-trial, Honorable Minister of Internal Affairs, under what instruments are you using to hold Dr. Kiiza Besigye in prison?
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, I understand the background to this matter, and I don't envy the Honorable Mao for being in this position. But I want also us to be, as we seek a solution within the law, I think we have about 3 matters to address. There is the health aspect of Dr. Besigye, but also there is wait a minute, I think we should be civilized enough to listen to each other. There's also the issue of the exercise of rights and the extent to which you can go, which really is an individual discretion, in this case of Dr. Besigye. And then the last one are the processes to effect the court decision. So, Honorable Speaker, as we address this question, I would want us to reconcile all the 3, instead of, if I may say so, going back and forth, and we need to craft a solution around the 3. But for now, I want to report, like the Honorable Minister said, the health aspects of Dr. Besigye are being addressed. Yesterday,
Honorable Minister.
Yesterday.
Honorable members, just hold on, Honorable Ministers. Honorable Minister is bringing a very important point that we need to get a way to solve this problem. And that is what we want. We want the problem solved. And it's leading us to a better direction. Yes.
Honorable Speaker and honorable members, like I said, we need to reconcile all the 3. I had the occasion also to speak to Commissioner General, and he said yesterday they took the doctor to a clinic of his choice, and
Honorable members, I am still asking, under you know, I've asked a question. I am saying under which instrument are you allowing to keep somebody in your cells? That is your property. Basically that. And that's what the Honorable Minister is saying. We need to sit down and reconcile and see how best this can be.
Right Honorable Speaker, around effecting the court decision,
yes,
the doctor is still in custody according to the order that took him there.
Look, Honorable Member.
To be honest, we were getting increasingly concerned about this, our people-centered parliament, because these are matters of the people and we are clearly getting agitated. I am glad, Right Honorable Speaker, that we are now in unison dealing with this matter.
Because we have raised it severally, and we did not seem to see an end in sight. We did not think that this people-centered parliament was appearing as such. Honorable Speaker, there's only two ways that somebody can be held in any government jail. One, when you have been convicted and sentenced, whether it be to life or whichever number of years, legally speaking. Number two is when you have been remanded by a court of competent jurisdiction. Those are the only two ways under which somebody can be in any government jail. It is not, as some have said, a hostel. It is not some kind of hotel or I don't know what. It is only those two legally provided for means. Honorable Speaker, we have asked again and again, after the Supreme Court decision, which rendered the court-martial defunct, it ceased to be. That's one. For those who know the law, we kept asking, why has government continued to hold on to these people? And those are questions we have not gotten any answers to, right, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the excuse by the Honorable Chairman Mao does not hold any water at all. For you to say that the lawyers of Dr. Kiiza Besigye have delayed to extract a decree, the Attorney General matter. So for you to give an excuse, you see, we did not know what was happening. We were in our chambers waiting for these lawyers to come and serve us the extracted decree. Are you kidding me? You were party to this matter. You are the ones who went to the Supreme Court, had determined this matter. But your chair at this point. Honorable Speaker, I am glad you have mentioned, as all of us have, this is a non-partisan matter. At least it should be. I've given several examples, and I'm sorry, my colleague, I keep referring to you. I don't know if he's here. Honorable Paul Akamba, who is an NRM member. That man was granted bail by a court of competent jurisdiction, and he was kidnapped, abducted by gun-wielding goons within court precincts. He's not an opposition member, he's an NRM member, but it happened to him. That's what happens when you don't deal with injustices. And by the way, Honorable Speaker, these abductions continue to happen. Yesterday, a leader within my party, our head of mobilization, the one Fred Nyanzi Sentamu, was abducted in similar manner. And we're saying these things should stop because they are within the control of the state. Honorable Speaker, here is the ultimate remedy. One, I'm glad that as Parliament we are putting our foot down. This Parliament here is where we are going to fight our battles. I know we can use all other spaces we have out there, radios, TVs, and so on. But as members of Parliament, this is our #1 fighting space. And we shall use it to fight for our people. Honorable Speaker, now that we have talked about the health, the ailing health, the very frail situation in which Dr. Kiiza Besigye is, I went to see him in jail yesterday. He could not get out of bed to come and see us. But we saw the other political prisoners, the Bobby Youngs and others, who are suffering in similar manner. Can the state give us a timeline on when they are going to release these people? That is the ultimate remedy.
Honorable.
Because the excuse there has been of, you see, we are waiting for the DPP to take over these cases. One, you're not supposed to direct the DPP. If the DPP is interested in any matter, these people should have been released and then they can be summoned. Because the DPP, Honorable Speaker, the DPP does not sanction court files. The DPP sanctions police files. So you cannot say the DPP is waiting for these court files to be transferred from the disciplinary court martial. That does not arise at all. These people ought to have been released a long time ago, and then the DPP could probably sanction any police file, and they can be summoned. They don't even have to be kidnapped, as we have seen happening. So, right, Honorable Speaker, the solution to this quandary, this predicament that we are grappling with, is to release Dr. Kiiza Besigye and all of these other NUP political prisoners that are being held illegally. I'm hoping that government will see sense in that.
Honorable members,
Honorable Speaker, with your permission.
Honorable members, this is a very serious matter. You know, people like Bariomus cannot even go to their villages now, because people will start saying, why have you left your own? Honorable members, I want a leader of government business. Listen to me. Listen to me. I want us to have a session, a leader of government business, government chief whip, Honorable Chris Baryomusi, Honorable Mao, Honorable Mohosi, the Attorney General, and then on this side, we have the LOP, Shadow Attorney General, the CAO, Mujuche, Honorable Mujuche, Honorable Katuntu, Honorable Asumani, Honorable Sivambi. Listen, Honorable, you're not going to choose for me. These are issues of legal and issues of life. We must make decisions there and come and report. And then Honorable Nandala. Eh? You don't want Nandala? Okay. We can have internal affairs. Internal affairs. Honorable members, we are going to adjourn the House for 10 minutes. We will have a meeting in the private. We are going to suspend the House. Suspend the House for 10 minutes, and then we will come and report. If the 10 minutes is not enough, we shall still communicate. No worry for time. Time is on our Rule 8 gives the Speaker all the powers. join me in welcoming them. Okay, members, we went on a harmonization meeting. During the meeting, a number of issues were raised, and what was agreed in the meeting is that we want solutions. And because we want solutions, we as a team tasked Honorable Mao Nobat, Minister of Constitutional Affairs, Honorable Kafusi, the Deputy Attorney General, Honorable Mohosi David, State Minister for Internal Affairs, and the leader of government business to go and make a follow-up on the case. And we expect them to come and report by 4 today. Next item.
Item 3 on the order paper. Statement